Alright guys, so continuing with the MEPs experience, this is part 2. I went and I sat down and they took my blood. Now they test your blood because, they want to make sure that you don't have STDs, they want to make sure you don't have high cholesterol, they want to make sure you don't have high blood sugar, diabetes, that sort of thing. If you have any of that, you're going to have to tell your recruiter beforehand. You should have already told them. Hopefully you were honest. If you have any of those things, you probably need a medical waiver, which again, you'll talk to your recruiter about that. If you've ever donated blood before at like the Red Cross or some other place that donates blood or collects blood, I don't know if there's another place. If you ever donated blood before, then you know that they collect these tubes, little tubes like about this big. During MEPs, they'll take about 2 of those tubes, and that's about it. That's all the blood they take. Then they patch up your arm, whatever, have you hold it up with 2 fingers on it, whichever arm you want. I did my left because I'm right-handed. After giving them my blood sample, they went ahead and took my blood pressure. My blood pressure was a little bit high, just like very, very little bit high. Yeah, I don't have a history of high blood pressure. My family really doesn't have a history of high blood pressure. So I believe that the reason I had high blood pressure at that moment was because I was nervous. And they asked me, they're like, how do you feel after they took my blood pressure? They're like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm cool. I'm just, a little nervous. And so the guy said, all right, cool. So I'll come back to you and I'll take your blood pressure again. Which I don't think they had to do that. I don't think they really have to do anything at MEPs. If they, if they take a test and you fail it the first time, they really don't have to redo it. But that guy did me a solid by doing so. And so I was, thankful for that. So after those first 2 tests, they went ahead and told everybody, because there was more people after, once I was done taking those first 2 tests, there was a couple more people around. Place started filling up, and they said, hey, we need everybody to get into this like classroom style room. Well, it was a classroom style room. They didn't say classroom style room, but we need everybody to get into this room. We all went in, and there was a bunch of desks. It really looked like a high school classroom, honestly. They sat us down, and there was some older lady, or elder lady. She sat us down and she started briefing us basically. She was like, hey, welcome to the MEPs. Yeah, you can call it either the MEPs or MEPs. I call it mostly MEPs. Some people call it the MEPs. I'm not sure which one is correct, but it's MEPs. So we all sat down and we had to leave at least 1 desk between us. Like we were in a row, kind of like, as weird as it sounds, kind of like a checkerboard. It's set up with your pieces, like you have a piece and then a space and then another piece, and then you have pieces like diagonally to it, but you don't have pieces directly behind it. So yeah, it was kind of weird. And once we were down, or once we had sat down, she started talking, briefing us. She's like, welcome to the MEP, this is your, military processing station. You're here today to process. Now, your recruiter should brief you the day before you go to MEPs, the day before you actually go to the hotel, and he'll let you know about all this. And I'm not gonna lie, it's not really that they try to scare you at MEPs, but they really bring up the whole don't lie thing, which is why I constantly preach the whole make sure you tell your recruiter everything. When you talk to your recruiter, he's gonna have you fill out this big sheet of paper with a bunch of questions about your medical history, about your criminal history, about where you've lived, just everything. It's everything about you. And when you get to the MEPs, they are going to give you quite literally the exact same sheet of paper, or sheets of paper actually, because it's like 2-3 sheets stapled together. Mostly a bunch of yes or no questions. You're hoping that you're gonna check all of them no, but make sure you're reading them, because there are like 2 or 3 that will ask, do you believe you're in good health, and do you think you got enough sleep last night? So, there's like, I remember those 2 specifically. So, don't be that idiot and just check no, because you think if you check yes, it's going to be a bad thing. If you check no to, are you in good health, they're going to ask you, why are you not in good health? So yeah, you fill out that thing. Again, like I said, it is quite literally the exact same packet that your recruiter will give you. And your recruiter hopefully will tell you, don't change anything. Not saying to lie, but don't change anything, because as soon as you start changing things, you're gonna get TDQ'd, which is disqualified. You don't want that. I filled mine out. I remembered what my yeses and my nos were, filled it out, didn't change anything because I didn't have anything to change. While filling it out, you learn how to date in the military way, which is a lot different than what they teach in like public schools here in the US. The way you do military dates is biggest to smallest. What I mean by that is the year, then the month, and then the day. And you'd have no slashes or dashes like they teach you in school. Like for today, it would be 2018-06-18, because today's June 18th. Or my bad, it's 2019. It would be 2019-06-18. Yeah, you learned that, and you have to do it that way, otherwise they're gonna yell at you. So once you fill that out, they like play this whole slideshow thing. It kind of just explains what MEPs is and tells you about the different steps that you're gonna do throughout the day. They give a little sexual harassment video about like if anybody at the MEPs does something that they shouldn't, which hopefully they don't, that feel free to come to the help desk and speak up about it. Basically, don't let it slide. And they tell you about lunch. Lunch is like a cold sandwich, and they kind of like take your order per se. What they really do is they ask what kind of meat you want. I had turkey because again it was sandwiches, and I like turkey, so why not? There was like turkey, ham, I think salami, and vegetarian was just like cheese. I mean, if you're a vegan, I don't know what you would have. I don't know, like bread maybe. Another thing that they actually do is they breathalyze you. Yeah, they seriously bring out a machine just like the ones that cops use. So after that, you leave that room. Once I left that room, I went back to medical. And at the medical place, like I said, I'd already done my blood test, and I had already done blood pressure. So I went, and they went ahead and took my vision test. Now, for your vision test, people get worried because people that have glasses like me, they're like, oh, are they gonna let you do your vision test with your glasses? Yes and no. They test your vision without glasses, and they also test your vision with your glasses. So don't worry. I guess they just want to see how bad your vision is without your glasses and how good it is with. So thankfully, I have corrective 20/20, meaning that once I have glasses, I have 20/20 vision. There's people that vision is so bad that even with glasses, their vision can't make it to 20/20. So again, that'll disqualify you from certain jobs within the Air Force or any military branch for that matter. So I went ahead, I took that test. It was just like any optometry appointment basically that I've ever been to. And after taking that, they also did my colorblind test, which is where they test your color vision. It's this book with like a bunch of little dots. They're all in like a big circle. It's a bunch of little dots, and certain dots are different colors, and it's either a number or a letter. And the way they test it is because the number is a different color than the background, or the letter is different colors than the background. They're very similar colors per se. Like it'll be yellow and like a light orange, or it'll be blue and then like a turquoise. So it is kind of sensitive, I guess. If you have slight color vision, you might fail it, or you might get docked some points, and they might deem you kind of colorblind, I guess. But I saw all the numbers and letters really quick, so I was good. After doing that, they're still not done with your eyes. They went ahead and tested my depth perception. Not gonna lie, that was the hardest part in my opinion, was the depth perception test. What that was, it was a bunch of little dots and a white background. They're in rows of 5. There's like a total of like 10 rows of 5 rows on one side and 5 rows on the other side, and you're supposed to point out which dot stands out to you. Which dot do you feel like is closer to you? There is this machine that you kind of like put your head on it. If you kind of wiggle your head, which that's like a weird motion, but if you wiggle your head, the dots will kind of like move, and so you can kind of see which one sticks out. I made it past the first row, and then I think I made it to like the 7th one, the 7th set of 5. By the time she said, okay, that's as far as you made it, she said good job. I'm not sure what exactly that meant. I don't think I completely passed because I didn't get all 10 of them, but I guess I did okay. Got to the 7th row, and she kicked me off, and she said, all right, you're good, and moved me. Once I was done with that, I went and I did my hearing test. Now the hearing test is really weird. At least here for the Omaha MEPs, it was inside kind of like a cubicle, which if you don't know what that is, it's like those office spaces that are, a cube. And it's completely closed off, wooden. You go in there, it's like completely soundproof. It's really quiet. She went ahead and told me read the paper that was on the wall, and she closed the door. So I went ahead, I read the paper. The paper said you're about to begin the hearing test. Go ahead and put on the headphones. Once you start hearing a voice, get the clicker, because there's a little clicker. Put the clicker in your hand. Every beep you hear once the voice prompts you to start, you need to click that button as soon as you can. So the voice goes ahead and tells you, you're about to begin the hearing test. You will hear a series of different beeps or noises. If you guys have ever heard like dog whistles, or not an actual dog whistle, but if you have like a dog whistle app, you can set it to different intensities of like the noise, like how high frequency. The first noise that I heard, or set of noises, was like that. It was like different frequencies of like a dog whistle, and I was super quiet, didn't move. I closed my eyes because I guess that helped me listen. I don't know, maybe to focus. Closed my eyes, timed my breathing so that my breathing wouldn't affect my hearing, because believe it or not, the noises get so soft and so faint that if you breathe or like do anything really, you won't hear the noise. So I went ahead and did that, did the hearing test, left the hearing test, went and did my urine test. You line up, you go into a bathroom, there's like 4 or 5 urinals. You stand by a urinal, you have to take out your junk and pee in a cup, in one of those drug test cups, and there is a guy that is there and he is watching you. That sounds very weird, but they have to watch you pee. If you're not ready for that, you better get, I don't know, something, because whether you like it or not, they have to literally watch you pee. I cannot make this up, ask anybody, but I'm being legit. They watch you pee. So at this moment is where I found out that I have a nervous bladder. What that means is that I thought I had control of my urinary system. You know, I thought I could pee on command. I couldn't. I hadn't peed all morning. I had drank stuff for breakfast. I drank a bottle of water. I drank like coffee when I went to MEPs too, because they have free coffee. And I needed to pee. I felt the need to pee. But because there was someone there, literally looking at me, waiting and expecting for me to piss in a cup, I could not. So I stood there with my junk out inside a cup with the guy watching me for about 15 minutes. And I know that sounds ridiculous. You might think, oh, it's 15 minutes, that's fine. No, it's not. Those are the longest 15 minutes of your life. Eventually, to kind of combat the whole I cannot pee situation, I started joking about it. And it was kind of weird because so did the instructor that was there. He started like joking about it, like, what's wrong with you? You can't just pee? It's not, you know, rocket science. Eventually I peed after what felt like forever, and I still only filled like half the thing. And it's very specific on how you have to handle your urine. You go to this window and you have to, and you are the only one that touches that cup before it's sealed. So you go, you put the urine down, they have you like sign for it that it's your urine, and they have you put the lid on it. They have you put this like dipstick that I guess tests it to make sure you're not on like, I don't know, drugs. And once you're all said and done with that, if you close it up, they put like this piece of tape around the edges, and yeah, you sign for it, you hand it to the guy, and you go about your happy way. Now, keep in mind, I'm saying all these steps back to back. That's not how the way they played out. It wasn't just immediately, oh, after this one, I go to the next one. No, you have to sit and wait, because sometimes your tests take longer than other people's. Between each station, I waited a minimum of like 10 minutes or so, except for the first two. You'll hear this term that's called hurry up and wait, and it's very, very true, because they'll tell you, hey, wait, you know, you'll be in a rush on your way to somewhere. You'll get there, and you'll be like, I'm here for this, and they'll be like, sit down and wait. You'll be like, okay, and then they'll be like, you know, oh, we're calling this person, and they'll yell out your name, and you'll be like, I'm here, and they're like, hurry up, we got to do this. And you're like, okay, I've been sitting here, you know, waiting for like half an hour, but now it's hurry up. All right, got it. After the urine test, I went to a room, and they told me, strip down to your underwear. So I said, okay. I went into the room, and it was filled with like 8 different guys, all processing. Everybody was in nothing but their underwear. You're just waiting there. You're waiting there for like a long time. And eventually a doctor comes in. Now our doctor, if I could put him in just like one sentence, he was like, honestly, the stereotype that you hear about MEPs. Really older guy, probably late 60s, early 70s maybe. He had a very elder sense of humor. He would kind of say things that were funny, but with a very serious face, just to like kind of throw you off. It was funny, it was great, I liked it. And you go and he starts having you do all these movements. You know, it's like, oh, touch your shoulder with your thumb, like do this. Push out your wrists, or push out your hands, and like, you know, wiggle your wrists, that sort of thing, you know. Touch your toes, walk on your tiptoes, the infamous duck walk, and that's just nuts. I don't know how I passed that, but I passed it. Another thing is I have flat feet, so I was so worried about my flat feet, because I've heard before that flat feet can kick you out. He saw my feet, said, do they hurt? I said, no, because they don't. You know, I've had a flat feet for like my entire life. They've never hurt me. And he said, okay, cool, and that's it. I did everything, everybody passed. But after that, they put you in a room with the doctor alone, and they get your height and weight. Now, when they get your height and weight, you should know what your maximum weight is for your height. So make sure you are within the weight limit that you need to be. My max weight was 170. I weighed in. I was exactly 167. So I was 3 pounds under. Like I said, that's how come I had to watch my food intake. I was 167, so I was cool. After the height and weight thing, I went ahead and went back to the room, sat there, and they said, in a bit, you know, you're going to go to the with the doctor into a different room. We'll get back to that in a bit, because I'm at the gym. Gotta hit this. So All right, and we're back. So there was a lot of guys there just waiting to talk to the doctor. And the doctor was kind of just calling you randomly. I don't know. Maybe he had a system. I'm not sure if he had a system. There was like 8 guys in the room at the time. And I was the second last one to go. Went into the doctor's and he had me sit down. You know, there was that same old doctor that did the whole body testing, duck walk and all that jazz. And he just started asking me, you know, like, how do you feel? Asking me about my history, any medical history, and any scars that I have, like one on my face or like one on my elbow. He asked me, you know, how'd you get those? I told him everything was cool. And then he said, looks like you have eye issues. And I said, what do you mean? He's like, well, your eye exam, the results say that you have astigmatism. So I said, yeah, I know I do. And he said, okay, they're recommending an eye consultation. I said, okay. So I wrote some stuff in my paperwork, and then he said, stand up. And I stood up. Mind you, you're in nothing but underwear. I stood up, and he checked like my chest area-ish. He checked like my abdomen. He pressed on my stomach, which I'm really ticklish, so not gonna lie, it made me laugh. And comes the embarrassing part. Like I said, if you're an athlete, you know this. He had me drop my shorts, and you know, he checked my privates, both sides. You know, he checks your front and your back. He has you, you know, bend over, spread them, and he has to check. It was real quick, honestly, a lot quicker than you probably think it is. It's like the most frightening part per se, but it was over like in probably 5 seconds. He had me pulling my shorts. He said, you're good. And then he handed me my folder and he said, go see the medical people. I left the room and I went to go see the medical people. And the medical guy said, all right, it looks like you're good on everything except for your eyes. So he said, you are temporarily disqualified. And I said, what does that mean? As of now, you are not fit to be in the Air Force. You have to go get an eye consultation. And I said, we're going to call you within the next week. Or your recruiter will call you. We're going to call your recruiter will call you. They'll set up an eye consultation. It'll be completely free. The Air Force's expense. You know, we'll let you know. Flash forward to about maybe 3 days later. They called me up. They had the eye consultation. It was here in Omaha. And I went, and it was quite literally, it was just like an eye appointment. Go, you have your eye appointment. You look at a bunch of letters, a bunch of numbers. You do that weird thing with like 8 different lenses. You tell them which one looks blurrier than the other. They did everything and they said, yeah, you're good. And then I waited and I waited and I waited for about 3 weeks after the eye consult. So to kind of put a timeline there, my first time going to MEPs that wasn't the ASVAB time, my first time going to MEPs for like medical stuff was late March. Waited for the eye consult about a week, which was probably early April when I went to the eye consult. And by the time I actually went back to MEPs was like, I think the first week in May. Yeah, it was about the first week in May. And this time it was different. I went back to MEPS and it's a lot quicker because you've already done everything. I didn't stay at a hotel again. I could have if I wanted to, but I was working and, you know, I said I'll drive myself. My recruiter said that's cool. You just have to make sure you're there on time. So I drove myself to MEPS. You know, same thing with the whole metal detector, same briefing, same lunch. It was a lot quicker. So it was a quick inspect. So I showed up. The benefit of this is that it gave me more time to lose more weight. Your recruiters are probably going to want you to be 10 pounds under your max weight. And I had lost a little more weight. So it wasn't under 10 pounds, but I was still less than what I was originally. So it was a quick height and weight. I didn't have to do the vision test again. I didn't do the hearing test again. I didn't do any of the other tests again. So I didn't have to do any of the tests again. I went with the doctor, same height, and my weight was down to I think like 164. So I had lost like 3 additional pounds. So after the quick height and weight, I went back to that room where you're alone with the doctor. He said, hey, I remember you. I said, yeah, I remember you too. He said, how are your eyes? I said, I mean, I think they're good. And he looked at my file, he smiled, he's like, yeah, you're good. He's like, you excited? I said, yeah. And he handed me my paperwork, and then he offered me jelly beans. He had jelly beans, I guess from Easter, left over. He's like, you want some? I looked at him kind of weird. I was like, no thanks, I'm good. I went back to medical, and they said, okay, cool. They said, go talk to the front desk, let her know that you're ready. So I went to the front desk with the lady that I initially went with, and she said, okay, you're ready. I said, ready for what? And I said, you're ready, like you're ready to go swear in and stuff. I said, okay, cool. She said, sit down, read this real quick, and you're about to go talk with like a liaison, which is like basically the recruiters that are like on site at MEPS. Not your specific recruiter, it's gonna be someone else. So I went and I talked to the liaison, and that's the process where I went to go list my jobs. They handed me my list. It was shorter than the one that my recruiter had initially given me. Like I said, that list can and more than likely will change. Mine did, yours probably will. So yeah, that list changed. Looked at it over, and listed my jobs. Listed my jobs from 1 to 9 in one aptitude area. I actually listed 10 jobs. You have to list a minimum of 9. I listed 10. Handed the list to the liaison and went and sat down. Read a thing about like how did I feel about MEPs? How did I feel that my process went? Filled that out. And that's about it. They gave me time to call my dad, so I called my dad, and this was really early still, you know, this was like 9 o'clock. They try to swear you guys in groups. My group was very small. It was just like 3 guys that had went back for various reasons, like different, you know, temporarily DQ'd. And even though it was kind of early, by the time we called our parents and we waited for them to get there, they went ahead and gave us lunch. So we sat down and we ate. This common area, cafeteria style thing. We ate, we chilled, we talked. Soon enough, our parents got there and they just met us there at the cafeteria. About 10 o'clock, we headed into this room. Only the people that were swearing in, not our parents. But we headed into that room and we had a really quick briefing about the whole swearing in process, how to stand at attention, what we should and should not say. After that briefing, they called our parents in and the ceremony started. Parents were allowed to record and like take pictures if they wanted to. And we swore in. You raise your right hand, the whole ordeal. And that's honestly about it. At the end, they congratulate you. So after swearing in, my dad had to go back to work. And once you're done, you have to call your recruiter. So I went ahead and I called him. He said, how's it feel? I'm like, it feels great. You know, I feel happy. He said, good. He said, congrats. He said, just come to my office real quick. So I said, cool. So I went to his office and met him. He says, congrats in making it to this step. He said, now we're just going to be waiting. You know, we're going to be waiting and waiting for you to get one of those jobs, get a contract made for you so you can actually sign for one of the jobs. Remember, this was like the first week of May, so I was very anxious. Believe it or not, that about wraps it up for this video. Next step is the DEP program. I'm gonna kind of elaborate on that meeting that day because the next step is DEP and the recruiter explains it if you meet him that day or if you call him. So that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I leave in a week, so I'm gonna try to pump these out as fast as I can. Peace.